Hello and welcome back everyone. Today we are going through the barbell squat. To begin with, I'm just going to take you through what a barbell squat looks like. So I've got a 20 kilo barbell on my back. Now you could use a 15 kilo barbell for this, but in the powerlifting world, in the strength world, we tend to use a 20 kilo barbell as our standard bar. So I would highly suggest you begin with that unless it feels too heavy. And as you can see, I'm going through the full range of my squat here, trying to get below parallel. I'll break down the squat a little bit more in a minute, but first we're going to talk about footwear a little bit. So as you can see, I'm wearing some really flat shoes here. They're just some deadlift slippers. And I'm going to change them to some lifting shoes. Now these are known as squat shoes. They're widely used in the Olympic lifting world, and most people tend to like these for squats as it helps with depth, with ankle mobility, which gives us a bit less torso lean, and it creates a more stable base than a trainer. It seems my cameraman really liked these shoes, so here's a little shoe cameo. What I'm trying to aim for when I set up is I'm actually thinking about grounding myself. So very similar to all the other big lifts that you're going to watch on my channel here. I'm really focusing on staying in the midfoot. And if you look at both of the examples of the squat there, the bar is traveling in a relatively straight line, and I'm trying to keep that barbell over my midfoot. Now, I can do that best by thinking about the tripod foot. So I'm thinking about my big toe, my little toe, and my heel, and I'm trying not to shift too far into any of those. If you find yourself shifting into the heel too much, you might find yourself leaning forward more. And equally, if you shift into the toes too much, you might find your heels lifting off the floor, which is not what we want. Now let's talk about where we actually grip the barbell here. So I like to go just outside of shoulder width. Make sure it's the same on both sides and make sure you feel nice and stable. This is going to be the base of the shelf that you're going to create on which you're going to place the barbell. Now let's talk about bar positioning. This is a very important part of your squat because this is how you're going to be able to balance the bar as you are squatting it. So I'm going to show you what is commonly known as a high bar position here, which is a high trap position. You don't want the bar to be on your neck, but you want it to be on your traps. And this here is a low bar position where the bar sits on the rear delt, slightly lower. I would start with a nice easy high bar position, as a low bar position is a bit more of an advanced technique. In terms of breathing, I use my dead bug breathing here, so a big breath in at the top that I hold throughout the lift. I've added some weight to the bar. Make sure that when you do that, you are choosing warm-up weights that are appropriate. Something that you'll hear me say a lot in terms of my lifting videos and feedback is that you should aim to make each rep you do as uniform as possible. They should all look the same. Now I use the lifting belt in this set. And a quick note on lifting belt, it can be a very useful tool. However, I always tell people to learn how to lift and how to brace without a lifting belt first. Another tool that's very useful in the squat that I didn't use in this video are knee sleeves, which is something again that we can go over in a special video. At this part in the video, I was just checking whether we had filmed anything to do with stance width, and at the end of this video, you'll be able to see how wide I had my feet. I'm going to show you now what a slightly heavier squat set looks like for me, so that you can really see the difference between the barbell 40 kilos and 60. In terms of executing the squat, a couple of my favorite cues are sitting in between the feet, and as you're coming up out of the bottom of the squat, try and imagine that you're pushing up through your upper back at the same time as pushing the floor away. A final note on stance width. My feet are slightly wider than shoulder width here and my toes slightly turned out. This is very much a personal preference. You may decide to go wider or more narrow.